Battle Pirates was once described as a highly polished game. I'm not sure about you, but I wouldn't use the words polished and Battle Pirates in the same sentence. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. Today I'm going to be breaking down my top quality of life changes that I want to see in Battle Pirates. First of all, what is a quality of life change? A quality of life change is a small change made, not necessarily fixing a bug or adding a new feature, something that just makes it easier for players to play the game and increases how much they enjoy the game. These are things that I would love to see the game team do. First of all, I know they've been busy with HTML5, but come on, we care about our everyday gameplay experience. Second of all, I'm not a programmer, and I only know like a few basics of a few different languages. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, so some of it may not be possible, and I believe most of it actually is that I'm going to suggest, and I've been playing for quite a while now, we all have, and I've seen what is realistic and what is not in this game, and what things that we can expect. This is not necessarily an HTML5 bug video, this is not a new features video. Both of those, might be coming out later. And you don't have to do all of these changes all at once. You can do them slowly over time through something that we call continuous improvement. Not making massive changes, but making small ones that add up over time. First of all, the number one change is to display upgrade kits. We don't know how many upgrade kits it takes to fix our holes and upgrade our holes. If I want to know how many Merciless Mutineer upgrade kits I have, there's no physical way for me to know that in the game whatsoever. If I keep track of it, you can guess and try and figure out how much you have, but there's no way to figure out how many I have until I'm actually in the ship upgrade menu. And I actually can't get there because my shipyard's busy building my Everest. So there's no way to know upgrade kits. Number one is display upgrade kits. Next, we have the token management system. There are a few changes I would love to see here. First of all, allow us to delete tokens. A Citadel, a Retribution, a Revenge, those are like tier 6. When am I ever going to use those in my entire life? I'm not. Now, yes, I could build the ship and scrap it, but that would take some resources and time and an open shipyard, which is just simply not going to happen. Allow us to delete these tokens. If you're even not going to give us a reward or let us convert them into something else, at least let us delete these things. Come on. And if you want to make it so we can't delete our current tier tokens so people don't accidentally delete those, go for it. Allow us to delete old tokens more than a year old, more than 3 months old. I don't care, let us do it. And while you're at this, why don't you add a search bar for the token inventory or expand it by whole class in a submenu? If I want to find my Praetorian build tokens, I have to scroll through this entire menu bar of all these different things, and I don't even know if I can find them, and upgrade tokens, build tokens are in the same menu, as well as VXP tokens. Expand this out here. This system needs to be significantly better. And while we're at sorting things, let's look at the dock. My different ships here, if I remove all my mutineers, they're just sitting here and you have a couple of them off on the left with a random Praetorian in between, and then another one all the way off to the right. This is my flagship. They should all be sorted and they should all be close together. Why don't we sort them by tier first? All the highest tier is off on the left side, and second you sort by whole class, which would mean forcibly, all my mutineers are together because they're the same tier and the same whole class. That would make sense, right? That's what we're talking about, quality of life changes. Next up is this average FPS button. You can see how much this is changing, and it's sometimes staying at 30 right now because I'm in my base and I'm getting good performance, but it does change very, very often, and it changes almost as much as the FPS indicator does itself. And this thing should even be turned back on, and all players should be allowed to actually have it in their base. Because at this point, I don't think I can turn it off, and I don't think if you don't have it on, you can turn it on. This thing should be available for all players, and I don't see it in effects of any sort of way. So allow us to put this back in our bases, allow me to get rid of it if I want to, toggle on and off, and make the average FPS over a longer period of time. Maybe that's a smaller one that's just bugging me. Next up is the ship build sharing. If I go in here and I have a Everest, say, or let's go into my trencher refit right here, to get the actual code and to share and copy paste codes, you need to go into your shipyard, click share, copy to keyboard. Then when I have my trencher, I just copied a trencher, you saw that. I go into my other shipyard, for example, click share, and paste mine in instead of skipping copy. This method is already a really, really complicated way of doing it. and I loaded in here, and my trencher build is on my Everest. You just saw me copy my trencher build. It doesn't have a skin. My Everest doesn't have a skin, but it loads up my Everest. I could load up my trencher first and then paste it in if I wanted to, but it should be way easier than that. Furthermore, if right now I wanted to get to you my Imperator's Praetorian build, there's no way for me to do it because my Shipyard is not open. So the share code, your Kixeye code, hash code, should be embedded in this screen somewhere, and there should be a share button on this screen so I can copy that code or just select it and copy it. It shouldn't have to go inside the Shipyard in that menu to do it. It's just way more complicated than it needs to, and whoever designed that system really just isn't that good. Bare minimum, put a load button right beneath the share button, right? Prize redemption model in Raid, Bounty, Pillage, Forsaken Mission sucks. It's horrible. If I go into the Bounty store, and I can actually find that here, I have to scroll through an entire tab list of things and look for all the different prizes that I might possibly want. Yes, the hide-on feature is good here and does reduce my prizes by like 50%, but there's still so many things. Let us have some sub-menus in here. Sort by hull, sort by armor, sort by tech, and even add a search bar in here. Let me search for things that add combat speed, or even generally just let me search for the name of something like this Obliteration Launcher System. Let's make the prize menu a little bit easier to go through instead of one long list I have to scroll through. While you're at it too, let's add the full prize list to the form so I can actually see what I'm looking for and know if I'm going to be able to find it in the game. I'm tired of just having like the top 8 prizes on forms. Let's get everything in there if possible. Come on, that seems like a change that we can all agree on, right? Another one here is Playback. Playback is a little bit weird, and if I go into Playback, it actually doesn't show you a complete replay of the attack. It shows you it doesn't capture recording, it captures the user inputs that were done. So this player attacking me, it captures their inputs that they put on their fleet. So they first up selected everything, clicked this spot on the map, this spot on the map, selected this thing. And I get that they do that. I'm sure many other games do that in terms of replays. What this does is it means that in most other games, it just copies it and it happens perfectly fine. In Battle Pirates, there's so much random number generation, so much math that has to be done by the battle server in terms of criticals, in terms of evade, and this needs to be calculated every single time that actually happens. So if when you're attacking and you have a full fleet of trenchers and you don't quite get through this first portal, then it's not going to capture the inputs of the rest of the battle accurately. So sometimes your playback can actually show that you lost when you won, or when you won when you lost. So this thing should maybe consider being tweaked, although that might take up way too much data to do that. What I would like to see is a speed up and slow down button, maybe even a jump backward 10 or a jump forward 10 seconds if possible, something like that. We do also see at the end of the playback if this thing just ends naturally and I let the time run out. So if it gets up to the 3 minutes, which I guess I'll let it do, and I'll come back with a cut when that happens. And while we're on the subject of playback, how about number 9, add offensive playback. Let me watch my hits again and improve as a player. So we can see here that this playback is supposed to end 3 minutes, 10 seconds, and as soon as the timer reaches that, I think he actually retreats or he dies, doesn't matter. As soon as this timer ends, and actually it looks like I went over the attack length, I get kicked into a refresh screen without even getting a chance to click close to click another playback, which means I have to load up this thing again and go on to another playback. It's annoying, it adds like 10-15 seconds every time I try and watch something, on top of another frustrating system that I can't speed up or slow down in any way. Next up, we have the locator. So there's a bunch of things that aren't in the locator. If I want to go out and I want to raise my sector threat level, there's no real easy way for me to do that. I have to hit the level 100, level 200 salvages, which are by the Drac uranium bases as well as the relay towers. But sometimes you can find them and sometimes you can't. They're very difficult to do. You have to pan across the whole map. So I think these things should be in the locator. Have a sector threat bar and let us see pretty much everything in the locator. Add Kixeye employee bases in Bounty while you're at it, because I straight up have no way of finding those, and if I want to hit a particular level, I just can't. I'm tired of scrolling across the map and accumulating tons of memory issues and lag just looking for the target that I'm trying to hit. So add more things to the locator. While we're on the map, let's talk about reducing map lag. I think that a bunch of these things, I should have an option to hide it. If you go into your radar thing, which no one uses, there's a filter here of what you can actually see. Why don't you expand on this and add on more things like salvages and let us hide salvages physically from the world map? Now, some players can do this with plugin blocker or ad block. You can use ad block to block these things and hide various things. You can hide the Dracuranium bases, you can hide the salvages, hide the gantries, etc. I think that this should be, I've never done that. I think that this feature should be something that's actually allowed in-game and will reduce lag by the number of things that are loaded up on the map. Let us hide the gantry, let us hide megaships, let us even hide enemy PvE fleets if you really want to. Anyway, these PvE fleets in an underchange here should be recalled, say, once a day, once a week, right before the update happens. All the PvE player fleets get recalled back to their bases, so there's no sort of lag from those accumulating on the map. There have been times when I've been by a memorial that has 100 fleets out that I physically can't play the game without relocating because everything's so laggy. And that is an extreme example, but that would help our FPS in general. At least that's what I think there. Now let's go back to the base here and look in the make a ship, or the R&D feature rather. A while ago we got the ability to make various tokens such as Conqueror VXP tokens, but one of the tokens we got was a Justice VXP token, which was the latest defender at that time in the R&D thing. Now this is something that is not worth anything. No one uses a Justice. It's like a tier 4 hole or something, tier 6 hole that no one cares about or uses. So why the hell do you have the 10,000 titanium 4-hour research for this thing? Yes, the Conqueror class tokens are nice. Let's have Defender class tokens right next to them. How about that, okay? When we're in the base, let's take a look at our defender holes. If I want to change the range of this thing and say it actually did move and was a hole that did work with patrol ranges, like maybe the Houndmaster, I want to set this at exactly 60. There's no way for me to do that. Oh, I just got really lucky there. It's not going to happen. It's really, really difficult to set your patrol range to be a number in specific. Like, I can't set it to what I want it to be. If I want to check the ranges of something, if I actually just wanted to patrol an exact amount, I can't do it. You did see me get lucky, and maybe I can try and get there, but it's just not going to happen. So we do have these little plus arrows which adds by 25. I want a number that I can type in a box that hover over, type in 60, and call that done, because it's just too difficult for me to get it exactly right there. It's just not going to happen. Okay, I did it again. I'm proving myself wrong. I guess if you try hard enough and make enough effort to do it, it could work. But a quality of life change would make it easier. Like, just type in the number. That should be really easy. That's all we're asking for. Things that make our gameplay easier. Let's talk about buildings now, specifically these resource generators. And I'm going to scrap one of these just to show you how it works. If I recycle this building and I want to build a new thing up, I have to get a whole bunch of base parts, which I guess that's no issue. And I have to build it, and it takes so many different clicks, and I can't even build one because I have a building speeding up. So, poor example. But when I build this thing back, I'm going to have to click build, upgrade to level 1, click upgrade to level 2, speed it up, upgrade to level 3, speed it up, upgrade to level 4, speed it up, upgrade to level 5, speed it up, and I have to press confirm after about all of those, and then I can start just doing one upgrade at a time with base parts, which is nicer. But how about an upgrade to max or upgrade 5 levels button that we can have with just base parts on these buildings like the turrets and the resource generators, and even the labs. If you're starting from scratch, you should be able to use base parts on those things. It shouldn't take me 50 clicks and pressing confirm 12 times to upgrade a building to max. Just once is okay. Now, let's look in the advanced lab here, or rather the blueprint lab. What you see here is we have hundreds upon hundreds of blueprints, and it's so difficult for me if I want to check the stats of, say, whatever gun I have, a Thunderclap rocket in my base. I can't. It's so difficult to find in here. I have to scroll through the right things, and it is often grouped with the other turrets, which is nice. But how about a filter button like we have in the Shipyard, a search button we have in the Shipyard that lets me find exactly what I want to do, and maybe even break it up further in terms of having the base weapons, the ship weapons, something like that as a little bit better, and you could even integrate limited and regular blueprints into the same location instead of having the different sections. At least that's just my idea here. And while we're on the topic of blueprints, you'll notice here that in the regular blueprint tab, there's a little tab arrow you have to tab over to find everything, like the shards. That's just one thing that isn't shown. That happens in the Shipyard too. If you're trying to build ships in your regular Shipyard here, if you're trying to build ships, you don't actually see the skirmish tab, and when you're selecting a hull, you can't see the skirmish tab. Why don't we just make all of them a little bit tinier, a little bit narrower, or move generalist to the last side, because skirmish is used way more often than generalist. It should be easier to find instead of all the way off on the right side of the screen. That would just be way easier for us to just find things, because I spent 15 seconds looking for skirmish here before, which is a waste of my time and is something that makes Battle Pirates harder for us. Maybe this one's nitpicking a little bit. That's just something that I get frustrated and bugged about sometimes here. I would like, instead of having damage you could break it down ship 1, ship 2, ship 3, ship 4, ship 5, and see how effective they are. You could even have the damage that you deal towards the enemy, have that count out, the damage the enemy takes, let you see which of your ships is doing the most damage in case you have a different build across your ships, so you can have more results here. That's my last change I have in this video. If you have a different one and you want to see something else, a quality of life change, not a bug fix, not a major new project, put that in the comments below, and I'll see if I can pass off this list to Kixeye somehow. I did make a forum post about this, but that's it's a very similar but separate topic here. If you enjoy the work that I put in this thing, go ahead and leave a like. And again, if you have any feedback for me, any videos, any thoughts on this subject, leave a comment below. I answer all of them. Anyway, this is Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.